and down.
I don't understand.
Me either. Me either. Well, we will go ahead and get started in just a minute or two. A big welcome to everyone. I know everyone's having a very busy day, but fortunately, the weather in Lincoln, Nebraska is very nice today, as we anticipate not such nice weather tomorrow. Thank you to everyone that is typing their name and email into the chat box. And just once again, remember that you are in charge of your continuing education certificate for today's Zoom presentation. You can find that certificate on the Nutrition Services website under the School Meals Program Training, and then Serving Up Great School Meals. The certificate is available on the website for you to print, download, print, complete, and file with your other professional training documentation. You can also indicate that you attended the training on the training log that you have developed to track your training, if that is the method that you're using. And Allie, if you want to go on to the next slide, that would be great. Just want to review some basic housekeeping today. Use your chat box to ask questions. Turn your video and camera on if it's available. We'd like to see you. And I think we've taken care of muting everyone's microphone during the presentation. But if you would like to ask a question during the presentation, you can certainly do so by unmuting yourself, which is found in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, and ask your question. Just remember to mute yourself after you have asked your question. So we'll proceed to the next slide. And today we are doing something just a little bit different. We have received a lot of questions from you, and we want to change our presentation style just a little bit today and answer those questions that you are asking. And so we will cover administrative information, questions we received on that topic, questions we've received about food service requirements, food safety, promoting your program, and of course, farm to school harvest of the month information. We'll wrap up with time for additional questions if we have not covered those questions that you have. So let's go ahead and get started with administrative information. One of the more common questions that we receive is, where can I find the rates of reimbursement? How much am I getting paid for the meals that we're serving? Well, those rates of reimbursement are available for all child nutrition programs on the Nutrition Services website. They are listed under quick links at the bottom of the main page. And there is a bullet that says reimbursement rates. Along with reimbursement rates, I want to draw your attention to there is also a calendar of those important dates for the school meals program. There's a link to forms and resources where all of the forms that you need to utilize for program operations can be found. The income guidelines are available under the quick links. We anticipate that the new income guidelines for school year 21-22 will be released sometime in April. Reimbursement rates, as I had mentioned, and just drawing your attention to new rates of reimbursement. Okay, new rates of reimbursement were released January 1st, 2021. So that goes into effect for your January claim for reimbursement. So for the summer food service program, those rates were released. Those rates are effective from January 1st through December 31st, 2021. There's also under quick links, the bullet claim due dates, and we have talked about this in previous Serving Up Great School Meals. Claims have to be submitted no later than 60 days from the month of the claim submitted, or the due date of the claim that is ending. So for example, for the January claim, it would be 60 days from January 31st would be the last date that that claim could be submitted. So please make sure you're familiar with those claim due dates. So next slide, Allie. Another question that has frequently come in is, when must we complete the verification report in the CMP system, which is our collection software for your application, your verification report, your health inspection reports? So that's a question that has been asked.
Sean, that is a great question, and we're actually going to take this question and create a poll and see what the audience thinks the answer is. So just real quickly on this first question, I'm going to launch a polling, and you should see a box appear in your screen. And please select the multiple choice answer you think is correct and hit submit, and then I will wait a few minutes and share the polling results with everyone. So here's your question again. When must we complete the verification report in CMP? The answers are, what verification report, Sean? Whenever I get around to it, February 1st or February 1st of 2023 or February 28th of 2021. So I'll wait just a few seconds. And
oh gosh, I love these answers. Well, it looks like February 28th, 2021 has the most responses at 95%, and we have some participants that maybe haven't heard of the verification report. I think we have one. And of course, the honest answer whenever I get around to it, but make sure that's before February 28th of 2021. And of course, please don't wait for 2 years to submit your verification report. So that third answer is certainly not okay. So go ahead and close that out for me. Or maybe I need to close that out on my screen. Thank you. So when must we complete the verification report in the child nutrition program? Well, as we said, the magic date is February 28th, 2021. Where can I find this verification report that you are talking about? It is under applications, and it is labeled verification report for school year 2021. When you click on verification report, it will open up the report. Now, does that mean I wait to complete verification? my contacting the households and getting the information I need for verification? No, that should be pretty much underway by now, that you have contacted your households. If you have not heard from your households, remember you have to give them a second reminder with a due date. And then if you do not hear from your households, then you have to notify them that they are moving from whatever status they were to paid status. So the documentation needs to be completed. The actual report that summarizes your efforts is the verification report. So let's move on to the next slide. Well, with all that being said, remember at our last Serving Up Great School Meals, I talked about an error in the report, and I just want to mention that error one more time so that when you are completing the report, you are not wondering why the total -2 total reduced price eligible students reported doesn't add up correctly. We added a new question to the verification report this school year. That is 3-5. Students directly certified for Medicaid reduced meals. That is a new question where you report those students that are Medicaid reduced from your direct certification list. So in this example, this school has 46 students that are directly certified for Medicaid reduced. Line 4-3 is those students that are approved for reduced benefits based on an application. So household size and income, they are eligible for reduced priced benefits. There are 24 students. So line T-3 should be the total of directly certified Medicaid reduced students and application reduced students, but unfortunately it is only pulling in the household application Medicaid reduced. So this requires no action on your part. We are well aware of the error. It will be corrected with probably a future verification report for next year, but do not worry about the report for this year. So I wanted to mention that. And as we move on to the next slide, why must we continue extending benefits to students directly certified and those that are determined eligible based on income eligibility applications? And we are getting that question quite a bit because we are operating under the Summer Food Service program right now because of flexibilities, waivers from USDA in response to COVID that allows schools to serve meals free of charge under the Summer Food Service program. Well, you still need to be accepting eligibility for directly certified students from your direct certification lists and income eligibility applications because we need to make sure those students are categorized correctly because it affects their eligibility for PEBT, which is the SNAP benefits, additional SNAP benefits, and that is ongoing through school year 2021. So we want to make sure those students are correctly identified because they're eligible for those additional benefits. And currently at the present time, we need to assume that moving forward, that school year 21-22 may be more normal than this school year. And so determining that eligibility for those students is important because of the carryover that would carry over their eligibility into the next school year. So next slide. Can we continue to provide meals through the summer food service program even after school ends in May? And that is a school's decision. Some schools have made the decision that when school ends, then they will not be providing meals. But schools can continue to operate the summer food service program after school ends. It's also important to note that the current waiver flexibilities end June 30th, 2021 for the summer food service sponsors utilizing the area eligibility waiver. So waivers are only through June 30th. So if your school has made the decision to continue offering meals, if you are utilized after school ends, that is own, and you are operating under the area eligibility waiver, those waivers end June 30th. Okay, next slide. Are all schools now operating the summer food service program eligible to apply for the Nebraska SFSP, the Summer Food Service Expansion Grant? Okay, a press release was released yesterday to our school, Nebraska schools, concerning the Nebraska Summer Food Service Expansion Grant. And probably many of you have seen that release, and I know I have received some calls in regard to it. And we need to clarify who is eligible for that expansion grant. That expansion grant is for the purchase of equipment for expanding the summer food service program. It is a grant specific to Nebraska. And the criteria that has to be met is that the summer food service program site must be eligible as demonstrated by having over 50% free and reduced eligibility, or that site is located in an area eligible location as demonstrated by census tract. Another requirement of that expansion grant is that the sponsor has to commit to operating the summer food service program for 2 years. So, as clarification, schools operating the summer food service, I'm sorry, Allie, something's happened to that slide. Oh, schools operating the summer food service program under the area eligibility waiver are not eligible for this grant. The area eligibility waiver applies to schools that do not have over 50% free and reduced. So if your school does not have over 50% free or reduced, or is not located in an area eligible location, you are not eligible to apply for this grant, this expansion grant. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, and I believe the next slide is on food service regulations, and I'm going to let Donna take this section.
Why, thank you, Sean. That's so nice of you.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see everyone here today. I'm going to talk a little bit about some food service regulations. First of all, I wanted to point out that we do have a page, a Forms and Resource Center page on our Summer Food Service Program web page. And that's where you'll find many useful forms and resources, including COVID-19 and food service regulation resources. So let's talk about a few of those regulations. First up, we're going to talk about production records. And Allie, should we be asking a polling question about production records?
I think we should, Donna.
Okay, well, you can take it away.
Okay, so next we're going to do another poll. The question is, keeping complete, accurate production records is so very important for which of the following reasons? And I have two of the same answers, so I apologize for that. To ensure meal pattern compliance, to ensure meal pattern compliance, to ensure a meal pattern was met, to ensure compliance with meal pattern, or all of the above. I'll give you guys just a few seconds to answer the question and submit. And there we are.
And actually, everyone is right? Everyone's correct. Okay, so yes, all of the answers basically said the same thing. So Allie, it didn't matter that you had two of the same answer because they basically were the same anyway. We're beginning with production records because they are such an important part of the school food service program documentation. It is so very important to keep complete, accurate production records for both breakfast and lunch every day, because you must have documentation that ensures you meet meal pattern, and meal pattern is that regulation that must be followed. So before we go further in talking about the production record, I think we need to take a look at some of the information that must be recorded on a production record. And I believe we can possibly ask another question about that. Allie, what do you think?
I think so, Donna.
Allie is so agreeable. She's awesome.
Which of the following is not required to be recorded on a production record? Let's see what the audience thinks. Your answers are food item, serving portion size for each item, brand name, recipe, product number, amount prepared, amount left over, or the number of staff working in the kitchen that day. Which one is not required? All right. We had 100% reporting
Woo!
the number of food staff working in the kitchen that day.
All right, that's awesome. Okay, so basically, it's not just the fact that the production record has been filled out, it's the way that you complete it and the way you fill it out with the correct information. That's what's really, really important. And on this slide, you'll see on the left, we have an example of the top portion of a summer food service production record. On the right, we have the top portion of a national school lunch production record. Because as you know, you can use either production record, because again, it's not the type of production record you use, it's the information on it that's important. So when we talk about, look at those 5 items we had listed on that question that need to be recorded, we can see on both of these production records, we can see the food items are listed and they're very clearly explained: turkey and cheese roll up, baby carrots on the left, and so on. and then the serving and portion size for each item. And I know for some of you are probably thinking, oh, I've heard this 1,001 times, but we still see some incomplete production records. And so we think it's important to go over this part. So the other three items that were listed in the question, we cannot see on these production records because I only included the top half. The brand name or recipe or product number, the amount prepared, and the amount left over are all recorded on the bottom half of the production record that I did not include. And they are also required to be documented. The production record is, again, this is your listing, your document of what you serve, how much you produced, so that we can see that you had enough available, you gave each student the proper amount, and you met meal pattern. Because we do see, in some cases, missing meal components on production records or records that are incomplete in other ways, and that can lead to disallowance. In other words, taking away money, and we do not like to do that. We'd like for everyone to have really, really good production records. So what we recommend is a procedure to review records each day to ensure all details are recorded. And it really kind of is a good idea, not kind of, it really is a good idea to have someone else look over your work or have a couple people do the work and check each other. Okay, Allie, our next topic is meal counts, which is also very important. And I bet you have a polling question for that topic up your sleeve, don't you?
I do, Donna. I'm really enjoying the audience participation. So I'm going to do another polling question. Which of the following can be submitted as documentation of meal counts? SFSP monthly consolidation form, monthly meal report from your school's POS system, student rosters, all of the above, or none of the above? Just a few more seconds.
We have a lot of smart people we're working with today, you know.
We do, and we love their feedback. Okay, let's see what they said, Donna. Looks like all of the above won the polling question.
And that is correct, but you can also say that all of the three above then, they are correct. And I'm thinking maybe some people chose the one that they are using because all three can be submitted as documentation to verify meal counts. I would assume that many of you will turn in, if you do have a review coming up, you will use the monthly meal report from your POS system, and you don't need to have to keep this just for the review, but you have to keep it on hand as documentation for your participation. Some of you may use rosters. Rosters did not get a very high number of people, but I know that some of the smaller schools may find it easier to use rosters, and that's perfectly acceptable. Some of you may ask, hey, Donna, what the heck is a monthly consolidation form? Well, it's a form that is used in the summer food service program. It may be familiar to some of you maybe not. And I do have a picture of it here on the slide. One thing I wanted to point out is that it is referred to as the monthly consolidation form. The title of it happens to be Daily Record of Meals Served. So I didn't want that to confuse anyone. It is on our website and easily accessible. You can type into it. There's also another version that is an Excel file version too. But the point of all of this and going on about it is that meal counts are very important. It's so important to get those correct meal counts. They must match the numbers on your monthly claim. Incorrect counts can also cause meal disallowance. So it's important to have everything matching up when it comes to numbers, and we want something that's clear, easy to read, and easy to understand, whichever method you use to keep track of your meal counts. One thing I wanted to mention here is that we do receive documentation that is not necessary. Some people send in copies of their claims from the CNP system or other documentation from the CNP system. And just keep in mind that we can access that system, so you don't need to go to the extra work of turning in extra documentation, because we do have access to those forms. All righty, next slide, please. No polling question this time, but we have received several questions about who must complete the SFSP Site review form. The site review form, this is a little tiny, I apologize for that. The site review form is a form that normally would be filled and completed by us because we would be on the site. However, as we know, that's not happening. So this form must be completed by the food service director or someone else at the school who has knowledge of the program. Maybe an administrator has knowledge of the program. Maybe the claim person, the bookkeeper, someone else who knows the program and can fill out this form. The form must be completed each summer food service program year. And remember that the summer food service program year runs differently than the school lunch program year. Summer runs from October through September. So even if you completed one of these forms for each site, one form has to be completed for each site. If you completed them last spring when you had to change your way of providing meals because of COVID, or this summer, or if you completed a form in August or September of this last year, you must complete another form because the summer food service year starts in October. So for school year 2021, we must have an updated form. Now, keep in mind that this form was developed for use during a usual and SFSP review. I tried to stay away from the word normal. I don't know if anything is normal anymore right now, at least. So a usual review, because this is definitely an unusual year, this form was revised to better fit the use of the SFSP to provide meals to all students during the school year, free meals. So some of the questions were revised on this form, and some of them you may find do not make perfect sense in this situation. So what we want you to do is just do your best to complete this form. And I think those of you who have worked with us before in answering questions for administrative reviews know that some questions aren't as clear as maybe they could be. So this form is found at the link shown on the slide if you need to access it for a review, or just even if you're not being reviewed, again, you must fill out the form for this year. All right.
Donna,
Yes.
before we get too far off this topic, I want to say it's a sponsor's responsibility to do the on-site monitoring form. So this is just a requirement of being a summer food service sponsor that they are monitoring their own program. So that's the purpose of this form, is monitoring. As a state agency, we have a different type of review form that we complete when we come on site. But this is a monitoring form that's a requirement of the summer food service program for sponsor monitoring.
Thank you, Sean, for bringing that up, because after I said that, I thought, I'm not sure that's right, because being newer to this summer food service program, I had it in my head that we were responsible, but it is not. We are not. It's always the responsibility, right, of the.
Yeah, it's always the responsibility of the sponsor to monitor their own program for compliance.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much.
You
And
bet.
feel free, anyone, to jump in like Sean just did if I say something that you can expand upon or correct me. All right, the next slide, please. We're going to switch topics, and we're now going to talk about professional standards. And in particular, training opportunities is where we're going to start. And the question is, where can I find training that also showcases new products, services, and equipment for my food service operation? You know, like a food show that we would normally be going to at this maybe or looking forward to going to later in the year, and we probably won't be able to this year. So we're really glad someone asked that question, because the next slide we have an opportunity, and Sean is responsible for finding this opportunity to earn continuing education units. I wanted to also state that the CEUs, as we call them, are also referred to as training hours, same thing, while you're attending a virtual food show. Remember that attending a virtual food show or a food show in person can count for no more than 2 hours of training per year. And this is what we're talking about, the Innovative Solutions Showcase, some new training that has been developed by the School Nutrition Association. Registration is free for SNA members, and you can participate in up to 6 industry presentations per week. So you probably won't be able to taste any samples, but maybe you can pretend, fix yourself a snack, and join in on the fun and see what they can show you that's new and innovative. So be sure and jot this down if you're interested. It begins February 16th and runs through the end of March. The Innovative Solutions Showcase at SNA. Okay, next slide, please, Allie. Also wanted to draw your attention to the e-learning on demand, which is available at the School Nutrition Association website Training Zone. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, in the middle of the night when you can't sleep because you're so excited that there is training available at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can jump right up and go to your computer and participate in some of this training. Now, if all training opportunities can be accessed by those of you who are SNA members. However, non-members can participate in those webinars that are free by creating a guest account. And there are some free webinars. I'm not sure if they're available 24/7. I didn't check that out, but it's another way to get your professional standards hours. And then the next slide, please. This is something that was just, we received in an email yesterday. The Institute of Child Nutrition is offering virtual instructor-led training. So here we go with Zoom or whatever platform they are using. But these are interactive training sessions that are free and they're live. And if you go to the website that is shown on the slide, the icn.org/VILT for virtual instructor-led training, you can see what they're offering. And there's quite a variety of training that they're offering through this platform. So we're seeing more creative and innovative ways of offering training, because these organizations realize you guys aren't going to be out and about, just like we can't go to our state agency meetings or regional meetings and travel like we used to at this point in time anyway. So wait a minute, Donna, did you mention something about an annual training requirement? Well, we have an annual training requirement, right? How many hours do I need to meet that requirement, you may ask? Well, Allie, let's see if we can find out how many people know how many hours of training they need.
That's a great idea, Donna. Let's see the group's knowledge on what is the number of training hours required annually for school nutrition program directors? Do you guys think it's 4 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, or 12 hours? It looks like 12 hours is the winner, Donna.
Oh boy, that's awesome. That's awesome, because on the next slide, you'll see a picture of a table from our professional standards handout, one of them on our webpage. And yep, the answer is 12 hours for program directors. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, I'm not a director, I'm a program manager, or maybe my title is head cook, and I'm not a director. And if I'm a program manager, I need only 10 hours. Well, you're wrong. Sorry to burst your bubble. Remember that professional standards training requirements, they're set by job category. And the job category definitions are defined by job role and responsibilities rather than title. So it's what you do, it's not what you're called. And as stated in our professional standards FAQ that is on our website, the program director is the individual who is directly responsible for the management of the day-to-day operations of school food service for all participating schools. The manager is the individual who is directly responsible for the management of day-to-day operations for a participating school under the direction of the program director. So those sound similar, but let's look at this for a minute. For example, there are a lot of larger school districts, and then there are some medium school districts that have a director that oversees the entire program at all schools, and then a manager at each school. And one which is pretty easy to look at is Lincoln Public Schools. Edith is the director, and she has a manager at each of her schools. And so that's the difference. So most of you are considered to be program directors, and I think it's a great title. So I think you should have that title no matter what. But it is 12 hours if you are responsible for management of day-to-day operations. And then we do have program staff, who are those individuals without managerial responsibilities, who are also involved in day-to-day operations of school food service. And this could be people, some of you who prepare and serve meals, and some who also process transactions at the point of service. And then we also have vended site staff listed here for those of you who receive your food and your meals from another school, but you are the person who is in charge of portioning and keeping track of who gets meals and whatever chores you may have to do at the site that receives the meals. All right, so next slide, please. Are new school nutrition program directors required to meet certain hiring standards? We don't typically talk a lot about hiring standards, but we thought it would be a good idea because we want everyone to be aware of the fact that, yes, there are hiring standards for new school nutrition program directors. They must meet minimum education standards, and the education requirement is based on the number of students enrolled. And there's also a training requirement, that is a food safety training requirement. And these standards are put into place for a very good reason, to ensure that school nutrition personnel have the knowledge and training they need to plan, prepare, and purchase healthy products to create nutritious, safe, and enjoyable school meals. And we know this job that you folks perform is not an easy job. It's not something you just close your eyes and breeze through the day and go home and have your whole evening to yourself. We know that you have a lot of paperwork, a lot of managing to do, and it's really a tough job. So we appreciate that you are so good at what you do. And I think next slide. And we want to remind you that you should notify nutrition services. You should notify someone in our office if you do have a new food service manager or a claim contact or authorized representative, because there's a box in the application where if you have a new claim contact, you can mark that box, or the authorized rep or the manager. But we also would like to know this is happening because we do have training available for new food service managers and claim contacts, and we may be able to help point these people in the right direction as to what type of training they should get, where it's located, and so on. So it's important to give us a buzz and let us know when someone new is on board. Okay, you're probably wondering, Donna, are you ever going to turn it over to someone else? Well, I have one more slide, and then I'll turn it over to Beth. And the question is, can training hours earned in excess of the annual requirement be applied to the requirements for another year? And by golly, the answer is yes. Training hours earned in excess of the annual requirement may be applied to the school year directly preceding or directly following the date of training. So let's give you an example. If the number of training hours you earned in 1920 did not meet the requirement because of COVID cutting short the school year and changing things, you didn't have time to earn your hours, the NSNA conference was canceled, and you count on that to get most of your hours, you can earn extra hours this school year, 2021, to make up the difference and add those to your hours earned in 1920. Or if you have excess hours and don't need to use them for last year, you can roll them over into next year, but we can only roll them over into the adjacent year. You can't keep rolling, not the way it works. One of the things I wanted to mention here with rolling over these hours and the school year is that we're now talking about the traditional NSLP school year, or school meals year, which begins July 1st and runs through June 30th. Okay, so any questions about this, please put them in the chat box. And next up is Beth and food safety. Take it away, Beth.
Thanks, Donna. I have some food safety questions for you. We've been getting a lot of questions about salad bars and self-serve bars, your condiments. And so the question is, may we offer self-serve bars now? And Alec, go to the next slide, please. So it is recommended that phases 1 through 3, or the red, orange, and yellow phases, that you don't do salad bars. The green, it's still recommended not to use it, but you can refer to your local health department for the answer. If they approve your plan that you come up with, then you may start your salad bar, but you do have to go through your local health department to get that answer, as they are up to date with all the direct health measures in your county. I don't keep up with all of those, so I don't know when you call and ask me. And I have listed down below the where the Nebraska DHHS has their direct health measures. If hopefully people are keeping that updated. All right. That is all I have for this page. Allie, go ahead and do the next one. Okay, so we have a question, and it's going to be a polling question. Allie, do you want to take it over?
Yes, thanks, Beth. We have a really good question for you guys. We are planning to remodel our kitchen Who do we need to contact? So let's see if you guys know this one. Should I contact the governor to let him know? Should I contact the local health department inspector, Tom Brady, or Mandy Carney, the lead health inspector with DHHS? It's a few more seconds. They're still answering, Beth.
Okay.
And
Perfect. All right. So next, very good. Okay, so if you're planning to remodel or new construction of a kitchen, you need, by regulation, it's required that you contact your local health inspector. So if you're in central Nebraska, you probably have Tim. If you're in the Northeast, you have Erica. And then some of you have Mandy, who is our lead, and that she usually does the South Central. But you must turn them in to either your health inspector or to Mandy, who is our lead health inspector at DHHS. They must approve the plans and the specifications prior to starting the remodel and construction. And they're going to look at things like, do you have enough hand sinks to encourage hand washing? So it's not an obstacle, so they don't have to walk all the way across the kitchen to do your hand washing. They're going to look at if the surfaces in the cooking area are easy to clean. Those are some of the things that they are going to be looking at for the construction and remodel. All right, next slide, please. Okay, Allie, this is another poll question.
great. Okay, let's see. I've heard it's okay to leave this sticker on fresh fruits and vegetables for students to eat. Is this true? Let's see what you guys think. Is it true or is it false? And it looks like false is for the win.
Yay. All right. Yes, it is false. It is true that the stickers are made from an edible material and can be consumed. Both the paper and the glue are edible. However, you need to wash underneath those stickers and you don't want to take them off and put them back on. And they are not sure what it will do to you if you consume too many of those stickers. They're edible in case you accidentally eat one, but they're not for long-term use or eating. All right, next question, Allie. Okay, so now we're into the reminders. It's not a question, although maybe we should have done a question. Mandy likes to keep us updated on what is happening with the food safety reports. Excuse me. And one of the things that they are finding is that a lot of people thought that they didn't have to do the HACCP logs this year. So this is a reminder. Yes, your cooking temperatures, your reheating, you have to do the log, or you can put it on your production records and delivery tickets, whichever is easiest for you. I've seen both. Your cooling logs, your damaged and discarded product logs, your refrigeration and freezer logs, your thermometer calibration logs, your receiving logs, your sanitation logs, your dishwasher temp log if you're using heat for your sanitizer. Those logs must be done just like they are done every year. And it's also important that you updated your HACCP this year so that it is up to date. Next slide. Okay. If you have a question about USDA Foods, who do you contact? Well, Chad Moore talked to us last week, and this is his information. And Brian, the ever awesome customer service person at Commodities, he will, if he doesn't know the answer, he'll get you the answer. So contact one of those guys and they will help you out with Commodities. Okay, next slide. And this is about the DoD, the Department of Defense Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, or FAVORS. And these are their contacts. Chris Powell is the primary contact for Nebraska. And it's the email is Christopher Powell at DLAMIL for military. I had to ask. And then Jody is our backup account manager. And Karen, if you can't get hold of those two, Karen is our always faithful person for customer service. So either, or I should say not either, but all three of those can help you out with the Department of Defense Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program contacts. And now I'm going to turn it over, if I remember right. Go ahead and.
Thanks, Beth.
Yeah.
Okay, as we're headed towards the last two topics in our questions, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about promoting your program today. I'm sure this is an ongoing goal to try and increase breakfast participation in your schools. And I can tell you there's no better time than to do it during National School Breakfast Week, which is coming up March 8th through the 12th. So the question we've got is, what are some fun ways we can celebrate this event? You could have a breakfast party and invite all classes to have breakfast in the classroom. You could make grab-and-go sacks for easy distribution. And this would be a nice opportunity to try out breakfast in the classroom if your district isn't already doing that. Another idea you could do is have special guests serve breakfast or eat with the kids that week. Of course, keeping in mind COVID safety precautions need to be in place. And you could encourage your food service staff to dress up with a theme in mind, because I'm sure they all love doing that. And lastly, I wanted to mention trying new recipes. Breakfast participation is often lower than lunch, which makes breakfast a perfect opportunity to try new menu items on a smaller scale. So get creative and be sure to promote your new menu items before you serve them to create interest. So we hope to see all of you coming up with creative and fun ways to join in celebrating the National School Breakfast Week and promote your schools. Sarah, you're up next.
Hi, thanks, Allie. Great to be joining you guys. We're going to wrap up a bunch of this conversation with just a few updates and things to put on your radar for farm to school and opportunities to get engaged in the programming. So we have a question for you here. And I'm going to read that question for you. It's, how can I get support in setting goals for our school or district's farm to school program? And this is the key, also earn continuing education credits. So here are your options. Start some seeds, and can you believe it's almost spring? It's true, farmers are currently starting seeds now. Review the resources on the NDE Farm to School web pages. Attend the 2021 Nebraska Farm to School Institute, and chat about ideas with food service coworkers. We'll let you take some time there. Donna's going to drop a couple links into the chat box for you as we go that will link to our answer. All right, all really great answers actually. But what we're going to do is look at, so we do have some new resources on the NDE Farm to School web pages. They won't actually give you continuing education credits though, unless they lead you to participate in some of our trainings. So one of the most exciting trainings that we have coming up that we've been chatting about for a little bit here, it's funded by USDA Farm to School grant funding, is a project that we're partnering on with the Nebraska Extension. In June of 2021, we'll be offering our first Nebraska Farm to School Institute. And so we're following a model that has been done on the East Coast in the Northeast part of our country, and it works phenomenally well. And we're so excited to be able to do it. It will be done virtually this year because that's the state we're in. But what I want to make sure and point out is, though, even though this is happening in June, there is an application process for this. We'll have up to 8 school teams that we can bring in to participate. And so that application will open as early as, it could be any day, but it will definitely be by early next week. So it's almost finalized now and about to be published. And when that opens, we'll put that link on our Farm to School webpage, our homepage, and it'll walk you through that online application process. That application will close on March 16th. So you'll have a few weeks to work on it. We're giving plenty of time for that application process, even though the application itself is not terribly extensive. There is a requirement that you have dedicated team members that will be listed on that application that will be participating in the Institute. And at a minimum, there needs to be 3 team members, and they each need to come. One needs to come from your administration, one needs to be the food service director, and one needs your best attempt at engaging with an extension professional in your community. And if you're not already working with Extension, they're a phenomenal resource and will help connect you. So don't give up if you don't currently work with Extension. This is an opportunity to grow a team and grow capacity and support. So the work isn't solely on the shoulders of the food service team. So we're excited about this. The project itself will be about 15 hours commitment virtually again, the week of June 14th. And from that, at least 5 credits will be available to you for participating in the Institute. Now, the Institute is the week of June 14th, but the goal of it is to create action plans that are specific to your team. And you'll be working on those farm to school action plans over the course of 1 year. They're as extensive and as simple as you want them to be based on your situation. So you'll have a year to continue receiving technical assistance from our project team and from coaches, and you'll also receive funding to participate in the Institute, somewhere between $2,000 and $3,500 per team. So again, keep an eye on our website and that link there that Donna put in the chat box. The link to the application will be live in days. So if you have any questions, once you see that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. All right, moving past the Institute, I wanted to bring to your attention a great opportunity to promote the work being done in school greenhouses in our state. So if your school participates in growing food in the greenhouse as part of an FFA program, or with elementary school students or other students, or if you know of a school doing this, then we encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity to recognize the work that is being done. There is more information on the Center for Rural Affairs website. That's who's organizing this with FFA. And they're just piloting this as their first year to offer this award. And that recognition will also come with a small financial award in the form of a gift certificate to a greenhouse and gardening supply store. And there's a link there that Donna dropped in the chat box. That's where you would go to access the nomination form. And like it says here on the slide, they are due by March 30th. So I'm excited. One of the biggest things we've seen in a recent school garden assessment we sent out across the state was that active greenhouses in Nebraska are numerous. So we have healthy programs here, and FFA is doing good work at starting to grow the work they're doing with growing edible food and seeing some of that food in our cafeterias. So please make sure that you self-nominate if you guys are doing that work at your schools, or if you know others that are, take advantage of that opportunity. And our next slide, we're just giving you a quick heads up. And I'm going to turn my camera on here quick. I don't know if you guys, if I pop up at the top of your screen with so many participants on the line, but we have been working on a Nebraska Thursdays adventure. And we wanted you to know that soon coming to your mailbox at school will be a box that will come in a mailer like this. And I got a test run of it that came during serving up great school meals from the Postal Service. And what is inside of here are some really fun swag materials and lots of tips and to help walk you through the registration process for Nebraska Thursdays and start to access. We're just beginning a Facebook group for Nebraska Thursdays participants. So that's going to be an opportunity to learn from each other, share stories, be inspired, that type of thing. So this is going to be a fun box. It's going to food service directors. Your administrators will receive a letter letting them know that the box is on its way to you, but it's fun and we hope that you like it. That's just a quick heads up in case you're like, why do we have this big box coming to us from the Nebraska Department of Education? And that's what it is. And last, we mentioned this on the last Serving Up Great School Meals, but next week, the next slide there, Allie, we're partnering with several organizations in the state on a Nebraska Regional Food System Summit. Really excited about the Farm to School track. We'll be learning about some legislative action that's happening in the state that we'll be looking to grow a network in our state for Farm to School. And we'll be hearing from Summer Sibley Brown from the Virgin Islands, who's very inspirational and has a great story to tell about Farm to School work there. And also some local level stories. Mary Carmen from Gehring and Omaha Nation Public Schools in Macy will be talking about the local foods coming into the cafeteria for Gehring, and then the work in greenhouses and growing indigenous foods with students in Macy with the Omaha Nation. So it's going to be a lot of good information, and we'll also be gathering input with skilled facilitators on what's lacking, what are goals, what is hopes for Farm to School Network in our state. We'll be joined by Extension facilitators and also USDA Farm to School leaders facilitating that breakout session. So you're more than welcome to join. The registration is at the link there, and Donna also posted in the chat box. So there are your Farm to School updates. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sarah. We've made it through all the slides and all the questions. We'll take a moment if anyone has a question that came up during the presentation, and then in the meantime, we can look through the chat box and see what's been submitted.
Allie, I have one. I think this is for Sean. Any idea if the PLE tool will be required this year?
Oh, Beth, thank you for asking that question that came in the chat box. I saw it. And I know everyone is wondering about the paid lunch equity tool that USDA usually releases in February, March, April, sometime. And the last word that we had received from our regional office was that guidance was going to be issued soon, but we do not have a date yet and have not received any guidance. And as I said, usually that information comes out in February or March. It has been as late as April, but as soon as we get the information, we will make sure that you get the information. So that's the answer. So what else do we have in the chat box? I know Mary Ann had put in the chat box, and she included a reminder for everyone in regard to verification. And she has said that if a household, and this is how it works, if a household fails to respond to verification, the results letter would indicate they are going to full price. So once again, if they fail to respond after your attempts at contacting the household, you are required to contact them initially and then a second follow-up. And if they fail to respond with the required documentation to support the income information they submitted on their original application, then their status changes to paid.
Very good. The next question is along the verification line. So do we still use the incorrect directly certified numbers that were given to us?
Okay, that is a great question, and thank you for asking it. The verification report requires that you report the number of applications on file as of October 1st. That's your verification sample, is your number of applications as of October 1st. You are reporting your direct certification numbers as of October 31st. So you are reporting the information from October 31st, and that information would include your indirectly certified students, because you did not notify, you didn't need to notify, but we did not make that list available until December.
Thank you, Sean. This question is for Donna. I've had my staff training do the civil rights training on Moodle from your website. Moodle apparently has gone away. Do you know when the civil rights training will be available again?
Well, we actually have a new civil rights training, and I just looked it up to make sure I know where it is. It's on the school lunch training webpage. Let me go grab that address. I'm working with 3 monitors here and my mouse goes the wrong direction. So let me put this in the chat box.
And Donna, I think we have a link on the civil rights page to the Child Nutrition Institute. They develop civil rights training also that's available to meet the requirement. And that was newly released this year from the Child Nutrition Institute.
That's actually the one I was referring to, Sean, because it is listed on, but I'm glad you explained that. That was really good. Because we do have our original training. There was the Moodle training. Moodle has unfortunately gone away, as it was stated, but there is a new platform taking its place. It's just, we just don't have it up and running yet with all of the training that we have. It's Canvas is the platform, so we'll be notifying everyone when that is available with all of the training, and we'll plan to add more training to that. But there is, under civil rights training, under the school lunch, on the school lunch training website, which I put the link in the chat box, there's a civil rights section, and there are 3 things listed there, and the last one is the ICN civil rights training. So awesome.
What else do we have in the chat box that we can answer for you?
Sean,
I have a question.
Go ahead, Allie.
Yep. Are there any updates for schools receiving the December reimbursement?
Katie, I noticed you unmuted your microphone.
Very observant. I wish we had an update for you all. The regional office is aware that all of the schools need to receive that funding, and we imagine every state in the US has expressed the same concerns. So we will let you know as soon as we are aware of when we will receive that funding. And I know that on our end, all the steps have been done to process those payments, just a matter of waiting for that money. So once it's in our hands, I would guess that you would have it in your bank accounts within about a week's time. So like I said, we will be sure to send an email notification to all of you once we know that when we will receive the money, so you can estimate, by when you'll receive it too.
Thanks, Katie. And for those schools that may be experiencing some financial hardship with the delay of that reimbursement, I do want to mention that, it's extremely unfortunate. But if your school meals account is needing a loan, that is the direction to go, because if it is a loan, it can come out if it is a loan to the school lunch account, then it can come out of the school lunch account. If it is a transfer from the general fund and termed a transfer, once those dollars come into the school lunch account, they can't come out because they've been transferred into the account. But a loan can come out. So wanted to mention that piece because we learned that from our financial services department, and it really is some important terminology, a loan versus a transfer. Okay, we'll move on.
We have a question. I'm working on the on-site review sheets for my schools, but I'm using the form I used last year for school program. Do I have the right new form for COVID summer program?
Well, if you are using the on-site review forms for school, that is not the same as the COVID summer food service on-site review form. So it is the COVID on-site review form that needs to be completed for your summer food service program.
Thank you, Sean. The next question is, so the school has to make a note for the loan, correct?
Yes. Yes, if you're moving money in as a loan, then there needs to be documentation that it was a loan.
I don't see any more questions. Allie, do you or Donna see any more?
Nope.
Well, now would be a good time, if you have any questions, to unmute your mic. I know that you all are enjoying this beautiful picture of scenery, and I hope you can visualize that in your head, and it provides some calmness to you. But we are certainly available to answer any questions you may have. We'll give you a minute or two, and please feel free. This is your opportunity. I see something just came in. Is there a date set for the next serving up great school meals? Wow. I wish we would have thought of that before now, because we usually plan for the month ahead and we have it in our presentation. And I apologize that we do not have a date set. And that is an oversight on our part. It will be in March, and it'll be soon. And I wish I could give you a date, but we do need to confirm calendars to make sure we're all available on that date. And we will send out a reminder way ahead of time so you can get it on your calendar. And then we will send you a reminder the week before and the week of, since we failed to plan ahead for March. So I apologize for that. Didn't even think about it till you just asked. So thank you.
I believe that St. Patrick's Day is on a Wednesday. I think it is. And so we could have everyone, we could set it for then and have everyone wear green.
Oh, I see some thumbs up from Beth, and that sounds like a great plan to me. I hope that works with everyone else. I'm looking at those folks that have their camera on. So if you like that date, please let us know by a thumbs up. Oh, I see some waves. I see some double thumbs. You know, I think we'll go with it unless there's an issue with any of our other team members. They'll need to let us know, but tentatively, let's plan on March 17th at 2 o'clock.
Hey, Sean, I wanted to follow up with the question that I had put in the chat regarding verification and a household status changing as a result of verification. And I mean, the point I wanted to make is, you know, for any school that's currently participating in the summer food service program, you know, they would need to let their households know that they are not going to be charged for meals, you know, for the remainder of this school year.
Thanks, Marianne. That's an important point to make sure that households do understand that although they are moving to paid status, it does not affect their participation in the summer food service program for free meals.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying. Any other questions for us? Anything else? Any good stories you want to tell us? Any success stories? Anything positive?